Welcome to rSlash Am I the Butthole, where OP has an encounter with the Hamburglar. Am I the butthole for not letting a pregnant woman have any of my birthday cake? My birthday was yesterday, and my husband invited his best friend Matt and his best friend's pregnant girlfriend Jane out for a barbecue. They live 2 houses down from us. It was only us, our 3 kids, and them there, as well as their 3 kids. I spent about $90 on hamburgers and hot dogs. Matt also showed up with about 2 pounds of hamburger. While the guys cooked, I went swimming with all the kids in our pond. Jane sat near the guys on her phone. Around 5:30, the guys called the kids up for food. Me and my middle child, who's 9, weren't hungry yet, so we kept swimming. We spent a good 40 extra minutes in the pond on our tubes. I wasn't paying attention to anything that was going on near the grill. Around 6:15, my husband said that he was going to go on a beer run, so I tell my son that we should probably go eat now. My husband and his friend Matt are gone by the time that we get to the grill, and so is Jane. Well, we get up to the grill, and all the food is gone. Literally everything. I call my husband and ask him, where's all the food? And he said that it should be on the grill. I tell him that everything is gone. There was a long pause before my husband said, Jane asked if she could take some leftovers, but I didn't think that she would take all of it. He tells me that there were at least 8 burgers and 10 hot dogs left, as well as macaroni salad when he left for the store 10 minutes ago. I tell him to call Matt and see where the hell all the food is. He does. He then calls me back and says that Matt claims that Jane only took a few and that they'd already been eaten. But my oldest son, who's 13, straight up tells me that he saw Jane walk off our property carrying the entire dish. All of our barbecue was in one of those extra large tinfoil barbecue dishes. Anyways, I'm pissed at this point. Me and my son hadn't eaten anything. My husband is also pissed, but he just grabbed me and my son something from the store instead of making a huge fuss. I don't really blame him. Him and Matt work together, so it is what it is. But anyways, much to my surprise, Jane and her kids come back over 45 minutes later and ask if they can have some of my cake? What? I tell Jane that her kids can have some cake, but she can't. She asks why, and I said, I'm pretty sure you've eaten plenty considering you took off with my entire barbecue dinner before me and my son could eat anything. She tried arguing that my husband told her that she could have it and that half of it was hers because they brought 2 pounds of hamburger meat, and that she didn't realize that me and my kids hadn't eaten. To be clear, she was beside the grill the entire time. I just shrugged my shoulders and walk away. She tells her kids, let's go, and they leave without cake. Now I'm feeling like I may be the butthole. No one has said anything, but I know there's tension. OP is literally next door neighbors with the Hamburglar. Who steals birthday hot dogs and hamburgers? This sounds like a plot out of like Paw Patrol or Dora the Explorer. Oh no, the evil villain monkey has stolen our hamburgers. Honestly, OP, I'm really surprised that you and your kids, maybe even your husband, didn't just walk over to their house and take back the hamburgers and hot dogs. Because your husband said there was 8 burgers and 10 hot dogs left. There is no way that a grown woman and 3 kids could eat all that food in just 45 minutes. Also, a full bowl of macaroni salad. Also, your dish, I have to point out. She stole the dish. Just go get it back. Eat your food. Man, this woman's audacity is actually funny. You know, honestly, now that I think about it, isn't it weird that she left with the food and came back? Who leaves a party and then comes back later for cake? It kind of makes me think that she intentionally left just so that she can steal all the food, thinking, oh, I'll come back later for cake. I guess that's the only explanation I can think of. OP, I am angry on your behalf. This is ridiculous. OP, you get 0 out of 5 buttholes. Jane gets 2 out of 5 buttholes. And honestly, I'm also giving your husband 1 out of 5 buttholes because this is his friend that he invited to your birthday party, which already is a little bit of a jerk thing to do because the birthday should be about you instead of about him and his friends, but I'm not going to dwell on that. He should have at least stepped up and been like, don't worry, wife, I will rescue your stolen hamburgers and hot dogs so that you can eat your birthday dinner. And then just walked over there and gotten the meat back. I mean, if you think about it, that's one of the main responsibilities of a husband, to give his wife some hot dog. Am I the butthole for ignoring my injured mom after she cut me out of her will? I'm a 50-year-old woman, and I'm the oldest child of divorced parents. My father is happily remarried with more kids, but my mother stayed single and relies on me and my younger brother, who's 45, to come help her out in her retirement village regularly. It takes a flight and a rental car to get to her, so it's kind of a pain for me. What makes it worse is that my younger brother, who's single with no kids, will never go down when she needs something. He only visits her when it aligns with his schedule. So he'll go down during his summer vacation and then help with things like moving furniture or taking her car in to be serviced. However, if it's an emergency of any kind, it's all on me. I'm married with kids in school, and I have a decent career and a side gig. But all hell breaks loose if I don't go. I'll get passive-aggressive texts, my relatives will pester me, etc. When I ask if anyone else could step in, the answer is always, "But you're the one that she wants." You might be thinking, how big of a deal can this be? This woman is the most accident and illness-prone human you'll ever meet. In the past few years, she's been in a head-on car collision. She's had cancer twice. She got T-boned in another car accident, and she had pneumonia. She wasn't like this growing up. It's only since she retired. So even staying the least amount of days possible, I have to burn through paid time off, cash in savings, and leave my kids behind to have milestones without me. And usually, whenever I'm with my mother, she goes on and on about my perfect brother. "See how he hung that new picture when he was here? He's so handy." It's annoying as hell, but I've had a lifetime to get used to it. Some months ago, I found out by accident that with the exception of a small amount of money for my kids, my mom is leaving everything to my brother. It'll be a decent amount, over $250,000. I was so perplexed and admittedly hurt. She refused to talk to me about it. She hung up on me and ignored texts. So I was stuck trying to figure out what I did to make her decide to do this. Eventually, one of her siblings told me that it was to ensure that my brother can retire comfortably. He's always worked low-wage jobs. However, he has few expenses because he lives completely free with a wealthy relative who has a large home that he will also be inheriting. Recently, my mom had another accident and called me to help. I got the call from the hospital and then from her rehab center. Because even though my brother is her medical power of attorney, I'm always the name and number that she gives out. When I didn't say that I'd be coming, she started sending texts complaining about how hard life is for her. My love for her and care for her was never based on money. She's my mom. But I ended up telling her that I couldn't come down. I just couldn't bring myself to do it. I know that she's in pain and struggling. I know that her siblings and friends are too old and too far away to be much help. But in a moment of spite, I told her to get my brother to do it. And of course, she defended him and added that he couldn't, as a guy, help with some things. My spouse says that I'm in the right, that I've prioritized her needs all my life, and even if it's because of the will, it was past time for me to stop doing everything. But others, especially my family, can't understand why I haven't gone down yet, and I end up feeling so disappointed in myself. My mom sends me woe is me text messages about how she'll manage without me, even though everything's a struggle. Admittedly, the injuries she has are difficult. And now she's sending texts about how she understands that I'm too busy, and she'll call the youngest of her siblings, who's 67, if she has to. So, am I the butthole for leaving my injured mom on her own because she cut me out of her will? I don't see the problem, OP. If she's that desperate for help, then why doesn't she take some of that $250K and pay for a nurse or a caretaker or a maid or something? This is solidly not your problem, OP. OP, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving your mom 2.5 out of 5 buttholes. Am I the butthole for taking all the clothes in my size off the rack so that resellers couldn't grab everything before I looked? Last week, I stopped into a thrift store and they were just putting out stuff from their truck. I'm never so lucky to be there when that happens. The shops are always very picked over with just Old Navy or Target clothes left over whenever I go, so I was happy that I might find something good. I started browsing normally, and I was finding some good stuff for once. Then I saw a group of 3 women come in. One had a little computer for scanning books, the other two had iPads or something. I assumed to check resale prices. Either way, they were clearly resellers and started grabbing stuff and checking labels. I felt a sense of dread because I wouldn't be fast enough to check the clothes that I wanted. So I just swooped everything off the rack that was my size into my cart. When the two got to me, they started staring. I said, "What?" And one was like, "We'd like to be able to see what's on the rack too." I said that they could, as soon as I was done. She scoffed at me and said, "That's rude. We'd like a chance to shop these clothes too." I just ignored her and started looking at things one by one, taking my time, then putting them right back on the rack. The women were getting mad and snatching things basically out of my hand. I held up a nice top, and one of them tried grabbing it out of my hand, and I said, "Excuse you," and turned my back to her. They got all pissy, and one stomped away to get a worker. The worker came over and asked what was going on. I said that I was looking at the items from the rack, same as anyone else. They said that I was hoarding everything, so they couldn't get a chance to look. The worker said that I wasn't doing anything wrong, and then said to me, "Thank you for putting everything back when you're done." I finished what I was doing, with the women breathing down my neck, and I took my clothes to go try on. One of them kept following me and asked me what the hell my problem was, why was I being such a B-word, etc. I said, "Sorry that you're having a bad day, but it's really not my problem." Am I the butthole? I just wanted the chance to be able to find nice clothes for once. Down in the comments, everyone is complaining about how resellers are destroying the thrift industry, so apparently this is a pretty big problem. So, based on that, sounds like you're in the clear, OP. Am I the butthole for telling my son that I have no plans to motivate or support him after he's an adult? My oldest kid is a good kid, but kinda lazy. His mom has always protected him. She has her reasons. Her first husband and child passed away about 20 years ago. 2 years after that, we met, fell in love, got married, and had a kid. Unfortunately for me, our son's birth was a catalyst for my wife's regression. Our son could do no wrong. If I tried to punish or even just correct him, she would get upset and start crying or fight with me. If he found something difficult and I wanted him to work through it or just try harder, she would step in and tell me to back off or actually just do it for him. This led to our divorce, as I wanted to be a father and not a spectator. She fought so that I wouldn't get custody. I ended up with visitation. My kid wouldn't do anything though. He wouldn't bring his homework over to my house, and all he wanted to do was play video games. If I didn't let him, he had tantrums. It was exhausting. And my ex-wife would always back him up. It was always my fault. I then remarried to my wife, Diane. We have 2 kids, and we're doing our best to raise them right. My son stopped coming over to my place when he was 14. I still invite him, but he rarely responds. I also stopped paying child support. His mom had been giving the child support to him to do whatever he wanted with for the last 3 years. Whatever, not my problem. Recently, my son called me to see if I could help him with money. I asked what for. He said that his mom can't give him the allowance that he's used to. I asked him if he was going to school or college. He said no. I told him to get a job. His mom has lost her mind. She said that she'll take me back to court so that her poor baby can live his life his way. I said that I wish for the odds to be ever in her favor and hung up. Now that my son is an adult, I never have to talk to her again. It's too bad because I loved her very much, but not anymore. My son asked me to help him find a job. I said that I would, and I told him to send me his resume. I've been waiting 3 weeks for it. He called me yesterday to see if I had made any progress on finding him a job. I said that he never sent me a resume. He got upset that I didn't remind him, but it was one thing. I told him that I wasn't going to motivate him to do anything, that I would be here if he needed help, but that I would never give him money again. I let him come over and I helped him with a resume. I also talked to him about the trades or community college. He's beginning to understand how messed up his future is now that his mom can't do everything for him. He's upset with his mother now because he doesn't have any life skills. She's mad at me for showing him the truth. while I can kind of sympathize with the mom because she clearly went through something super traumatic, she basically ruined her son's life. And for what? Just to be indulgent? And her trying to sue OP to give their son an infinite allowance every week for the rest of his life, even when he's 30, 40, 50 years old getting an allowance? That's just nuts, man. She is completely detached from reality. Anyways, OP, I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving the mom 2 out of 5 buttholes, and I think I'll give the son 0 out of 5 buttholes, maybe because it's not exactly his fault that he was raised incorrectly. Am I the butthole for telling my daughter that life isn't high school, and if it was, she would be the loser now? My older daughter, Kelly, is 24, and my younger daughter, Sarah, is 23. They both had very different high school experiences. Kelly was very social and in different sports. Sarah was very academic and had a small group of friends. Kelly got a sports scholarship for college, but soon dropped out of college after she failed multiple classes. She basically just partied, did her sport, and nothing else. Sarah went on to finish her degree and is doing well in life. Kelly has a jealousy issue, and I've talked with her before about it. She is never happy whenever Sarah has an accomplishment. Today, Sarah told us that she's going on a cruise for her vacation this year. Kelly has always wanted to go on a cruise and couldn't afford it with her waiter job. In the car, Kelly blew up saying that Sarah was a loser in high school, so it isn't fair that she has all this now. She went on for a bit, and I had enough. I told her that life isn't like high school, and if it was, then she would be the loser now. This started an argument, and she called me a B-word. It's not super great to kick your kid when she's down, but your kid does need a reality check because she's being bitter and negative and blaming other people for her own problems. So I think this was some necessary tough love. I'm giving you 0 out of 5 buttholes. I'm giving Kelly 1 out of 5 buttholes. That was rSlash Am I the Butthole? And if you like this content, check out my podcast where I publish the exact same episodes. Also, hit that subscribe button because I put out new Reddit videos every single day.